All right, so move on to the next segment. Is Danny Garcia deserving to be inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame? So I was teetering back and forth with this the last few weeks, but with more thought, yes, I would give Danny Garcia the nod to be inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Now, again, I've been thinking about this for the last few weeks, teetering back and forth. But when you look at everything that Danny Garcia has accomplished, I do believe that he does get the head nod to be inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. He has 38 victories, 4 losses, 22 victories come way of knockout. Now, Danny Garcia has actually defeated a total of 10 world champions in his boxing career, multiple time world champion and 2 division world champion, being a world champion at the super lightweight division at 140 and being a welterweight champion at 147 in his boxing career. And he was really known for the work that he did at 140. He was an absolute monster, absolute beast. The work that he did at 140, I think, gives him the nod to be a boxing Hall of Famer, former unified champion. He has some big names at this division, big wins at this division against some big names like Amir Khan, Eric Morales, Luka, Zab Judah, some other names in that mix as well. But out of active fighters in boxing today, this is actually a really crazy stat. Danny Garcia actually ranks 4th in the sport of boxing for the most world champions defeated by active boxers. Now, he's towards the end of his career, but if we're counting him still being active, 4th all time in terms of active fighters behind Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, and Terrence Crawford. I think that's deserving to be a boxing Hall of Famer, wouldn't you agree? But I get the argument why people would say Danny Garcia might not be a Hall of Famer because, yes, all the great things that he accomplished at 140 is remarkable, but then you look at his run at 147, he did fight the best of the best. You guys got to give him his credit for that. He wasn't taking tune-ups. He wasn't getting easy fights. He was fighting some of the top-tier competition that welterweight had in the glory days a few years ago. Like Keith Thurman lost a really competitive fight against Keith Thurman. That was actually his first career loss against Keith Thurman. Another competitive loss against Sean Porter. Loss against a prime Earl Spence when he was the unified champion, or collecting the belts to be a unified champion at 147 a few years ago. So he got in the ring with the best of the best, but I can see why people kind of think that he faded away in big moments because at welterweight he did lose 3 really important fights in his boxing career. And I think his run at 147 at super lightweight is good enough to get in the Hall of Fame. I mean, like I just said a few moments ago, unified champion. He was the WBC champion, WBA champion, Ring Magazine champion. You become the Ring Magazine champion by being the best fighter at that particular division at the moment. So you don't win that belt by accident. I mean, won the biggest fights as the underdog at 140. Got to give him his credit for that as well. But again, it seems like his career is wrapped up. A few weeks ago, fought at the Barclays Center, won by an early knockout victory. But Danny Garcia has been through a lot over the last few years in his boxing career. I mean, he's 37 years of age, inactive mostly for the most part of this decade. Fought 3 times in the 2020s decade. That 160 title fight that the PBC gifted him against Laura last year, you could tell where he quit on the stool. You never seen Danny Garcia. All the names that I just mentioned, nobody's ever finished off Danny Garcia but Laura. And I think Danny Garcia bit off more than he could chew moving up to 160 to fight a gritty veteran fighter and Laura for the WBA title, where he got knocked out and had to surrender on the stool. But I knew once he quit in the corner, that was a wrap. And he's been through a lot. But like I said, I think the perfect way for him to go out was that knockout victory at the Barclays Center a few weeks ago. Basically said he's 85% retired unless a big check came his way. That's the only time you're going to see Danny Garcia in a boxing ring again. So again, a lot of things to keep into consideration why I think Danny Garcia should be in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Again, 37 victories overall, 22 victories come away of knockout, 2 division world champion, defeated 10 world champions in his boxing career. I think that's enough to be a Boxing Hall of Famer. And again, 4th in terms of active fighters that have defeated the most world champions in boxing, becoming or 4th behind Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, and Terrence Crawford. I think that's very impressive. But I do believe that Danny Garcia should get the nod to be a boxing Hall of Famer.